we return back to Illinois, my state. And it looks like not only will there be a battle in regards to Chicago politics, but there's going to be a fight potentially happening between the new border czar, Tom Homan, of the Trump administration, and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. So let's go and pull up this video here and talk about it, address it, and find out what exactly is going on.
Of Chicago. Governor Pritzker, thank you for being here. Let's talk about that. Can the state of Illinois prevent the federal government from building internment camps, aka what they're calling detention facilities in Chicago?
Well, we have prohibited.
See, I find that funny because people might have forgotten the black sites. All right. What is a black site, you're saying, Kit? Well, in Chicago, sometime between the transition of Mayor Rahm Emanuel and the beginning of Lightfoot's administration, these were sites in which, people were tortured, interrogated. Yeah, in regards to crimes and things happening here. One could make the argument it was in violation of human laws and rights and dignity, but, those facilities already still exist.
By law in the state of Illinois, the use of any of our existing county jails or prisons for the purpose of rounding people up and detaining them. I want to be clear that there are certain circumstances in which the federal government, state governments should work together to allow deportation. An example would be somebody who's been convicted of a violent crime. But they're talking about rounding up people who are law-abiding, undocumented immigrants in this country, many of whom are working, paying taxes, not getting any benefits for those taxes, I might add. And we have a law on the books in the state of Illinois called the Trust Act, which prohibits our local law enforcement and sheriffs and the like from coordinating with the federal authorities. But
I don't want to call full BS on it, but sometimes rules can be bent here. This is Illinois we're talking about, okay? This is my state we're talking about. Chicago is the most corrupt city in the country. Add in D.C., we're number 2. In Illinois, let's just say there's a lot of twists and turns that can happen in this state.
But we cannot prohibit them, federal law enforcement, from coming into our state to conduct raids or do anything else like that. Meanwhile, I think it would be very difficult for them to just spread out across the country. They don't have enough manpower within the Department of Homeland Security in order to carry that out. So, look, I'm going to do everything that I can to protect our undocumented immigrants. They're residents of our state. And I also obviously need to make sure that whatever they're doing in our state, the federal government, that it is actually within federal law or state law for them to do it.
Is there, in the state of Illinois, is there federal?
Now, there's a little bit more to take in here. I want to pull up this article here because it looks like there's going to be a fight. So, President-elect Donald Trump's pick for border czar, Tom Homan, blasted Illinois. Oh, boy, horrible choice of word, whoever wrote that there. Blasted, blasted Governor J.B. Pritzker over his recent promise to keep Illinois a sanctuary state, vying to prevent deportations from occurring. After the blue state governor made the pledge upon Trump's win against Kamala Harris, Homan responded on Charlie Kirk's podcast, "Game on! We've got no problem going through him. I've got 20,000 men and women in the ICE who are going to do their job with no apology. And if any governor wants to stand in the way, go ahead and do it. We'll see what happens. We're not going to be intimidated." Homan added. Pritzker said that the state of Illinois would be prepared to bring a lawsuit against the federal government if it withholds public funding over the sanctuary state policies. To anyone that comes to take away freedom and dignity of Illinoisans, I remind you that a happy warrior is still a warrior, Pritzker said. Homan worked under Trump's first term as president as the leader of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and has over 30 years of immigration enforcement experience. Homan has embraced the title of border czar, one that was previously coined for Kamala Harris when President Joe Biden tasked her with immigration in the early days of his administration. Many have been critical of the Biden-Harris soft border approach, which has led to criminal gangs flowing into the United States, as well as known terrorists taking advantage of the porous border enforcement. Homan is seen as a hardliner on the border and has advocated for those in the country illegally to self-deport, as well as more ICE agents going to sanctuary cities to help with deportations. He has also vowed to dismantle the cartels that have ramped up efforts in human trafficking under the Biden-Harris administration. By the way, when I keep saying this, never ask the CIA how it helped those cartels get started. They have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world, and Trump is committed to calling them a terrorist organization, using the full might of United States Special Operations to take them out. So what does this mean? In more ways than one, Illinois is going to be a battleground state, and it not just with elections, but the city itself. There is going to be a massive pushback. Now, the thing is, Governor J.B. Pritzker and by proxy as well, Mayor Brandon Johnson are both vocal critics of Donald Trump and the GOP. This is going to have a lot of consequences and repercussions because it is now 2024. We're going to have a breath of 1 year until we get to the midterms. That's 2026. And in 2027 is the Chicago city elections. This is going to be a frontline state/city. Okay. Chicago being the city, state of Illinois. And there's going to be a battle of ideology, the Democrats versus the Republicans. Now, of course, the people are stuck in the middle because both parties want to play their games while the people are screwed over. But Harlan's media is going to be here. We are going to be a frontline organization in the fights that we will witness. And we are going to do everything in our power, not only to talk about and cover them, but we do ask for your support for the next few years that are going to be coming down our way. We will be on the front line covering these stories and giving our objective opinion, our perspectives and points of view and analysis. It's game on. There's going to be a fight. Harlan's media will be there.
It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Whether or not in Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
I don't mean to sound alarmist, but most of what they let you read is garbage. Most of it's designed to warp our minds until subconsciously you find you'll take the time to lick their boots free of grime and wipe their minds free of tarnish. Oil is the centerpiece, a body count of millions is the garnish. So how's it feel to know we funded every carcass? That every year our taxes pay for carpet bombing Gaza under shroud of darkness? Or that we spend enough a year to house and feed each homeless person in the streets on turning families in apartment buildings in the Middle East to bloody craters full of charred garments? And our media is silent at best. At worst, they can find it in themselves to call war crimes clashes and label children burned to ashes terrorists who played a stupid game and reaped the harvest. And every time we try to paint the truth, the news sends their slugs to suck off all the varnish and distort it into something harmless. See, the media will hang you by your feet and keep you half asleep. So yes, I'm here to set you free, but freedom won't be sweet because you'll fall 1,000 feet when I come cut you out your harness. They say those who dream the deepest fall the farthest. They also say that home is where the heart is. But if home for you is Gaza, Netanyahu's got you painted as a target. Perhaps it's not the impact, but it's what you see when falling that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the sound of all those children crying out in those apartments that will hit the hardest. Maybe all those little bodies scattered in the dirt will hit the hardest. Maybe seeing human lives assigned such little worth will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that you're paying for the darkest of atrocities committed on this earth that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that we give 10 million a day to oppressors who possess the kind of Medicare you'll die in debt before you see that's gonna hit the hardest. Maybe then you'll see you've always had more in common with the commoners whose slaughter we fund every day in Gaza than our senators and bosses. Maybe then you'll see our country never had a conscience. Maybe then the retroactive guilt will make you nauseous. Maybe what hits harder than the impact is the act of being conscious, of knowing your complicity and helplessness to try and stop the bloody deeds of Congress. And that no matter who's in office, America preserves its foreign interests by whatever means its greed demands, however monstrous. You see, we'll always need a place to drain our contras. And Biden's got a backup plan, should harm befall the Holy Land. Wipe it off the map, he'll draw it back on with an iron hand. He demands an Israel or reasonable effigy to exercise democracy and colonize the Middle East. Regardless of the human cost of phosphorus atrocities, bought and paid with money they rerouted out the budget for the non-essential things like ever making Flint's water clean. So maybe what hits hardest is the day you see this country for its actual priorities. And nevermore no honest peace attempting sleep. Maybe then you'll look at politicians making speeches like a blood-encrusted beast espousing destiny to empty seats and fellow leeches. As the gauntlet of democracy extends its brutal reach, like a giant wave of trash come to crash on foreign beaches. Maybe build a base, throw a flag down and heavily pollute the region. Rape your ecosystems, gut your fauna and congratulate you on your new allegiance. Oops, we mean alliance. This is something mutual unless you're non-compliant. We stole something crucial on which you can be reliant. So maybe what hits hardest is the centrist saying both sides need to stop the violence. And those would be the very same centrists saying we should all accept police brutality, who hem and haw and clutch their fucking pearls and spend their time condemning riots. But very soon will come the day the centrists all get censored like the rest of us, and pious as they'll try to be, they won't stay quiet. But they'll just end up shouting in the void that they were also quick to render us subscribers. And it will be too late to light the fires. So far away tonight, they burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre. Which is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. And call it foreign interests or American desires. This is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. Far away tonight, they burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre. Call it foreign interests or American desires. This is why your checks weren't all $600